Jay here from Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We are live, so get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. A lot of it focusing on Ruben Amorim's comments after the Sociedad game. United getting a 1-0 draw in San Sebastian gives us a decent footing, doesn't it, going into the next round, or the next leg, I should say, of the Europa League game against Real Sociedad. But there was a bit of fallout, wasn't there? There was a bit of needle on the pitch. It seems that Diogo Dalot and Rasmus Hojlund not quite getting on. Dalot was a little bit greedy. Well, I say greedy, just didn't play in Rasmus Hojlund when he could have. Hojlund reacted in a way which sort of displayed his anger, which he often does, usually with Garnacho, though, to be fair. And Ruben Amorim's got involved in it also. We'll talk about that. Amorim's also been speaking about Garnacho, so we'll be getting onto that. Plus a little bit of an update on the Mainoo contract situation. Plus over a couple of bits and pieces as well. Transfer news, all the usual stuff as well. So make sure you are hitting that like button. If you're not doing so already, then please subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers by, I don't know, by the end of, what we're in now, March. By the end of March, yeah, let's go for that. Can already see a lot of people in the chat already. Robert Taylor, Akash K, Notch is there as well. He says, it's Friday and sunny, enjoy your weekends. Yes, that is great advice. Let's talk about Diogo Dalot then, and Rasmus Hojlund. So it says here, Ruben Amorim has told his players to stop fighting between themselves after Rasmus Hojlund raged at Diogo Dalot for failing to team up for a big opportunity against Real Sociedad. So it says Hojlund's barren run in front of goals now stretches to 19 games, and his frustration boiled over during the first half in Spain, and when he let rip at teammate Dalot for not making what appeared to be an obvious square pass into the box, which would have given the Dane the chance to tap in. I don't know if you saw this yesterday or last night. It was a bit daft, really, for Dalot not to play in Hojlund. It was such an easy ball. Like, it was on his right foot. Hojlund's there in space. Just play him in. Play the ball in. And I mean, you can argue Hojlund, the form he's in, he might not have taken that chance. He might not have scored, whatever. But let him worry about that. You just do your job and give him the ball. And it would have been a relatively easy chance. But what was annoying as well is Dalot lets him not to do that. And I could understand if he didn't play him in and then there was a better opportunity, or he got a shot off himself, or, you know, there was Bruno or whoever was arriving late in the box and he gave it to them. But he just sort of checked his run, and then I think it sort of fizzled out into nothing. So it was just a bit silly all round, to be honest with you, and a little bit annoying. Obviously, Hojlund, who has shown his anger in the past, showed his anger at the time, and now the manager's getting involved. He says, I think it's hard to say, but I just imagine that Diogo doesn't know for sure that Rasmus has the advantage, said Amorim about the missed chance against Sociedad, so he's sort of weighing in with it here. He says, one thing that I'm sure, they are really anxious to score goals and to win games, so they are all doing their best. Sometimes they want to do the best, but they are not deciding the best way in that position. It's clear, it was a clear situation. Rasmus did really well. Dalot did really well. The decision was not the best. The important thing is to move on and not to stay like them, fighting, and let's move on to the next opportunity. So he sort of told them, like, you know, we're in this together kind of thing, innit? Like, we don't need to start fighting with each other. I imagine the conversation behind closed doors will be slightly different. I'd be surprised if the manager isn't pointing that out to Dalot and saying, look, you've got a player there who's in space. This is what this system is about. It's about the wing-backs getting forward, getting down the line, and, you know, getting into the sort of final third and whipping them balls in, or feeding the striker where possible, or the attackers where possible. That was a golden opportunity. Obviously, United went on to score a little bit later through Joshua Zirkzee, then conceded the penalty. But that could have proved pivotal. That could have been you might even end up looking back and going, if we'd have got that goal earlier, maybe the game would have been different. I don't know. But I imagine that Ruben Amorim will be talking to Diogo Dalot and saying, look, you've got an opportunity here. And I do feel sorry for Rasmus Hojlund. You've got to play him. I do feel sorry for Rasmus Hojlund because he's in this horrible, horrible run. 19 games without a goal is horrendous, right? Now, I've been critical of Rasmus Hojlund at times and said, look, as a United striker, you have to be better than that. Yes, you can argue that he's not getting the service, and I think there's some merit in that. As we saw last night, he was not getting the service. But also, 19 games, you can't just blame it all on the service. Like, you're going to get some opportunities. You've got to be a little bit like, okay, some of that responsibility falls on the striker himself. We saw Joshua Zirkzee, who's already been prolific. He got a goal last night. I think he got his last goal, I think, was against Leicester in the FA Cup. So he's not exactly been banging him in. Garnacho, I think he's not scored for a little while, although he did get an assist. He's going through a barren spell. It is a collective thing here at Manchester United where players aren't getting goals and attackers aren't getting goals. It's not just Rasmus Hojlund. But Rasmus Hojlund is the striker. He's the number 9. He's the one that's leading the line. So he's the one where you're looking at him going, you should be doing a little bit better. And I think it kind of showed against Fulham, where Chido Obi comes on. And Chido Obi, who's 17 years old, he's never started for Manchester United's first team. He comes on as a substitute, and after an initial 10-15 where he barely touched the ball, he gets into the game and he creates a couple of chances. Almost, I think one of them in particular, memory serves, was almost like his own doing. It was a bit of a half chance, but he managed to sort of make some out of it. And I want to see a little bit more of that from Hojlund. I want to see better service for him, but I also think he can do better as well. I think those two things can be true at the same time. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Hit that like button as well, please, people. I'm going to get into some of the comments here. Mick Holohan's in the chat as well. Joe James John is here. Notch says, I wonder if Keno would have been told to stop fighting. I'd rather the anger was there if it improves anything. I get that. And I think Keno obviously was famous for having those high standards and maintaining those standards in training and on the pitch. And United were all the better for it. I think eventually it was his undoing, wasn't it, when he sort of got a bit fed up with some of the performances he was seeing. And he gave that interview, I think it was with MUTV, that sort of unravelled everything. But for a good 12, 13 years, he set those standards, and rightly so. My issue with some of the fight we're seeing with these United players, it seems to be sort of channeled in the wrong way. I don't mind players getting a bit argue with each other at times and letting each other know, like, come on, that ball's got to be better, or come on, you've got to pull your socks up, or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone was loving it when Casemiro did it to Garnacho, weren't he? He was saying to Garnacho, come on, against Chelsea when he gave the ball away. There's nothing wrong with that. I like a little bit of it. But what we're seeing at the minute, it just seems like this attack in particular is very fractured. I know Dalot's not an attacker, or I should say just the team, but especially Rasmus Hojlund. I see him arguing a lot with Alejandro Garnacho. Those two just don't get on. Or they certainly do. They're certainly, doing a good job of hiding it. Now you're seeing it with Dalot and Rasmus Hojlund, and I just worry a little bit that this is becoming a bit of a negative influence or negative force for Manchester United rather than a positive one. You can channel anger and frustration into a positive one if it creates sort of, a bit of energy and, like, come on, let's get into him and all that sort of stuff. I don't feel like that is the case at the minute. I feel like this is a bit more like Manchester United are just sort of, these players are fed up with each other, they're not passing to each other. There is a little bit of that creeping in. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm over-exaggerating? Am I looking for it where it isn't there? I do notice it a lot when I'm at the game now, because at the game, obviously, you're not beholden to Sky Sports or TNT or whatever, their cameras and their production. You can see what's going on. You can see the player interactions a little bit better. And I notice it a lot where I'm seeing Garnacho in particular getting pelters off Hojlund. He never seems to react, Garnacho. He never seems to respond or acknowledge it. I've seen other players having a go at Garnacho as well. Hojlund gets very, very angry at times with Alejandro Garnacho, and now we're seeing him getting angry with Diogo Dalot. Mark F says, I love Ruben's honesty, but he needs to find results. Only things he is good at right now are conferences. Look, I love Ruben Amorim, and I think he's the right man for the job. I've said it a million times. I think you stick with this manager, not just to the summer, obviously. I think he's going to need at least 2 or 3 summer transfer windows to fix Manchester United properly, if not more. But I understand the argument about needing needing results. You've got to sort of walk the walk as well as talk the talk. You can't just be great in press conferences and then be like shocking in terms of management, or the results are shocking, I should say. Not that he's shocking in management. You have to get results at Manchester United. I do think he will get them, and I think a draw in Sociedad isn't the worst result in the world. I do feel like, though, we need to go through, really. I feel like if we go out of a second cup competition in 2 weeks, whatever it is, at home, against beatable opposition, I'm not saying Ruben Amorim's going to get sacked or anything like that. I just worry that Ineos might lose a little bit of faith in him, because the league's a disaster. You're out of all the cup competitions, then maybe Ineos are thinking, is this the right guy? we've already seen him get cold feet quite quickly with Dan Ashworth. We've seen what happened at Nice. I know they had a couple of managers there that I think went on to better things, who were sort of headhunted, if you will, but there were some managers they just lost faith in and got rid of. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think Ruben Amorim is the right man for the job. I just hope he gets the time and the patience that he deserves. But I understand the point about results, because it can be a bit frustrating at times when you're just watching dross. Kevin Aitchen says, morning Jay, just arrived and heading back to the start. I hope you're full of good news by the time I get back here. Mark F says, Ruben won't get 3 windows if he's getting them results, Jay. That's the size of the beast. No, he won't, but I'm hoping he won't have these results even next season. I'm hoping by next season we're going to see an improvement. I think it'll be a gradual improvement, but I'm hoping that this time next year, we'll be millionaires, Roddy. I'm hoping next season we're sort of, progressing towards the Europa or the Champions League spots, and then the season after that, maybe you can start talking about really pushing towards the top of the table. A lot depends on our transfer policy, though. Let's talk about Alejandro Garnacho. He was being spoken about a lot last night. Quite divided the opinion on Garnacho. This is a Man United manager, Ruben Amorim, has spoken out once again, decided to sub Garnacho off in a game. He's subbed quite a lot, Garnacho, and I think there's a quote here from Amorim. He says, I felt he was tired, as you can see, and you see it because we did a lot of transitions in the second half, because sometimes he was late to defend and sometimes he's in a good position to transition, but I felt he was tired to recover and do the same things. I look at the game as a whole and not just in transitions. Is there any more? Is that it? Yeah, I think that's about it, really. I mean, Garnacho does get subbed a lot. His body language isn't great at times when he gets subbed. I don't mind that. It doesn't bother me too much if a player is annoyed at getting subbed. I think there's a way of handling it. And I think that, okay, you don't want to be shouting at the manager or throwing things about or anything like that. But if you're a little bit miffed at being subbed, it might even be a bit miffed at your own performance, because sometimes Garnacho's been subbed because he's been playing a little bit under par, then I get it. It's not the end of the world at all. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit that like button as well. Mainoo contract, I think we spoke about this on Paddock Live the other night. The talks are ongoing, aren't they? I think there was rumours about him wanting 180k. It says here, according to sources, it's going to be, fresh talks. We'll wait and see what happens. A lot of people saying 180k for a 19-year-old is a lot. He's on 20k a week at the minute. Obviously, he's going to get more than that because he's a first-team regular and he's an England international. You think that it's probably... I don't know what it's going to be. It says here 150k a week is probably what they're asking for in the region of that. Maybe it's a little bit less with some bonuses or whatever, or maybe it's around that. I think they're saying that and bonuses. We'll have to wait and see. It's a weird one with Mainoo, isn't it? Because at one hand, he's 19 years old and you shouldn't be getting anywhere near 200k when you're 19 years old playing for United. But he is a first-team player, very talented youngster, and he'll have teammates who are playing less than him, who are on double that, who are on like 300k. I know that's not right, but it shouldn't happen, but that's where we're at. So United need to find a happy medium. I want Mainoo to stay at Manchester United. I do, man. I don't want any talk of him going and getting sold and we can get good money for him and all this and reinvest it. No, you need to keep older players like Mainoo. We haven't got many players of that calibre come through the academy. Absolutely smashed it. Made his Premier League debut, in November 2023. And won the FA Cup, scoring the decisive goal and getting player of the match against a midfield that contained Rodri, who everyone, the Ballon d'Or winner. Then he goes to the Euros and actually forces his way into the England team and ends up playing in the tournament and in the final. He's an absolute superstar, man. We need to keep hold of him, and I'm not interested in getting rid of him. Stretford disagrees. 80 million cash in. No. Joan Garcia, what's this? Man United wants to sign Espanyol goalkeeper Joan Garcia in the summer transfer window to replace Andre Onana, according to reports. This is from Football 365. We've been linked with a few goalkeepers. I think, is it Trafford, the kid at Burnley, Garcia, one or two others. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, Andre Onana's going through a bit of a spell at the minute. He's had the last 2 games have been better. Yeah, I thought he did okay. I thought he did well against Fulham. He pulled off some good saves. I don't blame him for not saving penalties, to be honest with you. I don't think those penalties were poor and he should have done better. I think it was just one of them. And I thought he did all right as well last night. We'll have to wait and see, though. I do feel like this isn't going to end with Andre Onana spending the next 5 or 6 years at Manchester United. I just don't know if, priority-wise, we can afford to get a new goalkeeper in the summer when we haven't got loads of money to spend, and we've got other areas that we need to improve that are probably more pressing than the goalkeeper. I know a lot of people disagree. A couple more stories before I wrap up. Staff, this is from the Manchester Evening News. I think this is Tara Marshall saying, basically, the Ineos are doing things a little bit differently with all these cuts. When they're getting rid of all this staff, we've had a load of staff cuts at a time when other clubs around Europe are sort of increasing their staffing. And the fact we've had so many cuts, you can see it here. It says we're going to have fewer staff than Lyon and Brighton. And obviously, it seems like clubs like Lyon and Brighton, I mean, if you put Lyon and Brighton together, you won't get a club the size of Manchester United. No disrespect to them, but let's be honest. If you added up all the Lyon fans and all the Brighton fans, does that make as many fans as United? No. Like, United are like one of the biggest clubs in the world. So I understand, I know we go over this all the time, I understand why Ineos are trying to cut costs and trying to save money and PSR and all the rest of it. But I do think some of it has been a little bit OTT, and it is sad to see some members of staff who've been there for years losing the jobs. And also some of the cuts, I know this is different, but some of the cuts like the free meals and stuff like that is just stupid. Just finally, I saw this last night. This is a really tragic story. I just want to mention it quickly because I think the club has spoken about it. There was a young girl, I think, in Cumbria named Poppy Atkinson, who was playing football, and a car's driven onto the football pitch, and tragically she lost her life. She's a big United fan. You can see there she idolised, I think she's Lionesses. If you scroll up a little bit as well, I think there's a bit more. The other way around. Keep going. I think there's a little bit as well. Yeah, there you go. See, keep going. Almost there. That's it. You see a statement from a family. Poppy was 100% deserving to be a professional footballer. Many who knew her, and who knew her determination to improve and win, had no doubt she would achieve her goal to one day play for Manchester United. Poppy idolised Ella Toone, Georgia Stanway, Kobe Mainoo and Lionel Messi. A 10-year-old girl who was obviously a very talented footballer and tragically lost her life, and a big United fan. I think the club have shared, paid their respects as well. So sorry to end it on a down and air, but thoughts with her family. Such a tragic time. We're going to be back later on today. We've got me, Steve. I think Joe's joining me and Steve on the brew, but don't worry, it won't be. We're not going to let him talk us into or steer us into football talk. It'll be the usual shenanigans on the brew. So if you've not done so already, make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Also, as well, we've got all the reaction from last night. If you want to get your teeth into that, I think we've got Steve, you got me and Joe, you got Andy Tate. Plus, as well, over the weekend, we're looking ahead towards the Arsenal game. Also, as well, don't forget, you've got the protest on Sunday ahead of the Arsenal game, 3 p.m. at the Tollgate. We spoke to Steve from the 1958 about that. There is a video up on the channel, so go and check that. I don't know why I'm doing that. That on the channel. So go and check that out as well. Make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jay. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.